Hi, you're listening to Rocklaz Radio, a podcast discussing inspiring personalities and interesting things. This is your host, Tanmay Shah. I'm an India based NFT artist and an entrepreneur with diverse business experience. This podcast is self sponsored. The best way to support this show is to buy my art, NFTs, and you can also become my patron. Kindly share this episode on your socials and with your friends. On today's episode, we are going to have discussion on various artists and what inspiration we can draw from them. We have a fantastic panel of amazing artists in real life. Our first person whom we are going to hear from is Mr. Alexander. He is in Japan. He has lived in Portugal. He has been an architect and an art enthusiast. Over to you, sir.
Hello. I don't know if I have to do an introduction of myself. I guess I could do a small introduction. I'm Alex.
Please do. Please tell us a bit about yourself.
Right. Okay, so I'm Alex. I'm a Portuguese architect. I've been living in Japan for around 9 years. I've been working in some popular architecture office, and now I work for Nikken Seikei, which is the biggest architecture firm in Asia and one of the biggest in the world, I would say. I'm also a PhD researcher at the Kyoto University on architectural theory, and I have my own practice called Amalgama, where I do some research and projects, and some of them are in the format of NFTs on Foundation and OpenSea. Not all of them though, but I transform them to kind of simple NFTs through images or plans or that kind of thing. All of them architecture related. So basically that's it. In a small way, that's basically the situation now.
Yes, before you tell us about your famous favorite artist, I'm just to the listeners, all the panelists, their links and links to the link tree and social media and all their works will be provided in the show notes. So do check them out. Over back to you, Alexander.
So my favorite artist, it's a difficult question because there are many artists that I like and I've been looking up to. Though I would say because I'm an architect, I don't consider myself an artist. So I look at artists maybe in a different way than other artists would look at. I look at them as inspirations to take ideas into my work, or how their process or their thought process can influence architecture in some way. So in that sense, I would say that my favorite artists are not the ones that produce more expressive work, but are the ones that produce ideas, right? And from those ideas is where I extract some concepts to produce my personal research or my personal work. So in that sense, I would say that at first the favorite type of artists that I like are conceptual artists, and they're conceptual. It's the conceptual artists. Sorry, it's the conceptual artists that I like because. Sorry, let me take a little bit of wine so this can go better. So, conceptual art. Conceptual art is the kind of it's not about how you express or how you represent it, but it's about how you think about it and how the idea is important for the art itself. So the result is not important, or how it's represented or how it is made, but how you thought about it, and that is what makes the piece of art. So let's see, a conceptual art can be, for example, a piece of paper that has the rules or the description of the art piece. So the art piece maybe doesn't exist, but the description of it and how the art piece would work is the piece itself. That being said, I would say that my favorite artist is maybe Joseph Kossuth, which is a conceptual artist, an American conceptual artist. He's still alive. I think he's in his 70s maybe. He's starting to get old. He's part of the conceptual art movement that comes after the Dada movement. That was the movement that on the time of Marcel Duchamp, right? So, in, so why do I like Joseph Kossuth? Because I like him because he not only produces a body work, but he produces also theoretical text and produces ideas that I can relate with through through reading them and through analyzing them and reading on them. So I believe that the thinking process and how we use our brain to process the ideas are the are a very important point of what the art piece can be. So I think that art, in a sense, starts to become art when you put the piece on the context of art itself, right? So anything can be art. It's a kind of it's kind of not true, but at the same point, it's true if we grab something that is very common to our daily lives, but you put it on a context of art, right? If you put it on a gallery, or if you put it on a place that can be appreciated by people, right? So in that sense, anything can become art at some point, though they need to be in that context of art, right? So, and that is the kind of the theory Joseph Kossuth kind of defends. So in that sense, for me, Joseph Kossuth is my favorite artist.
Amazing. Can you talk about a particular work of his?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you properly. Can you repeat the question?
Could you elaborate on his any of the particular work so we can add a link to that and people can visually see it as they are listening to you? Any particular artwork that you can describe?
So, so I think, that being said, that Joseph Kossuth is my favorite artist. I think the best art piece in the world is one of his works. That is 3-in-1 chairs. I think it's the best art piece ever made because it's very simple in execution, but it's very deep because it makes us think, and it gives us a different notion about perspective on how to look at art and how to look at concepts and ideas. So the piece is a description. It's a piece of paper that describes how to make the art piece. That is the piece itself, and the result is a normal chair, a normal wood chair, a photograph of that chair at real scale, and then a description from the dictionary of what is a chair. So in that moment, when you look at the result, you're looking at the same thing, but from three different perspectives, right? You're looking at a real chair, the photograph of that chair, and what it means to be a chair. So what does that make the art piece? Is that it's about perspective, right? If I talk about a chair, now that I describe the piece, you can imagine maybe a chair, right? So the chair actually doesn't need to exist. It makes you feel what does it mean to have a art piece. So the art piece can be a material, can be a representation of that material, and can be the idea of the same material, right? Of the same object. And at the same time, that the piece can exist in one place because the piece itself is not the result, is the text that describes how to make the piece. The piece can exist in different moments, in different places at the same time. Or it cannot exist if there is no exhibition to make that piece, right? So it makes us think of what an art piece can be at the same time that makes us think about how we understand the world and our surroundings and how we look at those art pieces, or how do we look at art itself. So for me, it's a very deep artwork, and that's why I really like it.
Wow, amazing. That was very interesting. As you're saying, I just did a Google search. I'll read out the text in it. A chair with a back and often arms, usually for one person, a seat of office or authority, or the office itself, the person seat or office, especially the chairman of a meeting, a sedan chair, a chaise, a metal block, or a clutch to support and secure a rail in a railroad. Interesting. So I actually started thinking, okay, what is a chair? And this was a really interesting piece. Thank you so much, Alexander.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Okay, up next we have Miss Jenny Butt. She is a 25 years. She has an experience of 25 years in art and amazing person. Let us hear from her now. Over to you. Could you please tell about yourself in a line or two, and then about your favorite artist?
So I'm a visual artist based in Mumbai, India, and like Tanmay said, I've been working for 25 years in the gallery spaces worldwide. Next month it will be 26 years. I'm fond of pop art, so I like pop art. I like what is called pervasive art in the sense that it doesn't restrict itself to medium. Could be go into areas like design, interactivity, and other things, and now of course NFTs. And speaking about my favorite artist, I have many favorites as I was telling Tanmay, but Yayoi Kusama is one favorite in the pop art space. She's a Japanese artist who grew up in Japan and then moved to the United States, spent many years in New York, and then moved back to Japan. She's a worldwide phenomenon. She's recognized immediately by her polka dots, and she's made these infinity rooms, which are installations with these spheres and all. So what inspires me about her is her her work is the female identity, the female voice, which she has given shape in her art, and it's a very minimalistic visual language. And from for those of us who grew up in the East, we are very influenced by the spiritual thought from our cultures, and she has used the motif of the dot um, all over her work. And what the dot means in Eastern culture is it represents several things. It represents the seed, it represents the cosmos, it represents the beginning and the end, because everything is cyclical. And the dot has a special significance in spiritual art. So it is like the Big Bang. The primordial sound Om is the represented by a dot, and so is the so with that concept she has taken it into the very contemporary pop language. And she's also well known for her huge pumpkin sculptures with the polka dots, and those installations, plus very intuitive kind of paintings. she had a very difficult. Anybody coming from the east, and if you're female, it's an extremely difficult life as an artist, because firstly there's family. The family wants you to conform to the social rules and live the normal life, get married, have children, that kind of thing. And so despite her family, although her family supported her initially, her mother was opposed to the fact that she wanted to be an artist and she wanted to move away from Japan. But somehow she moved. She made very radical kind of art. She did what is called happenings, where she would gather her friends and they would be, dressed up in a certain way. She did another piece performative art where, they were all nude and they were protesting in a corporate space on the main street, and then they, the cops came to get them at that time. Now, of course, it's more liberal. So, her whole approach to art making very rebellious. And as you can imagine, an Asian person in New York is going to face a whole lot of racism and prejudice. And despite that, she managed to, carve a niche for herself in that space, because it's extremely, extremely difficult. And with such path breaking work, and then eventually now she's, I think, around 90 or 100, and she's a fashion icon, she's an art icon, and I mean, a very prolific person. And also her paintings, she makes her paintings now as therapy, because that's what she was. She had some mental illness since a very early age, and it's kind of therapeutic for her to produce that. Her therapist has a work. But that aside, I mean, I love the fact that she has fused east and west in her work, and it's just very path breaking and very inspiring. So, Tanmay.
Amazing. And what was the artwork which you wanted to talk about? A particular artwork from her?
So I'd say her most path-breaking things were the infinity rooms, that the installations called the infinity rooms, where there are mirrors on all sides, and the viewer actually goes into the room, and there are these steel polished steel, so mirror polished spheres on the floor, and there are also spheres hanging. So it's an incredible kind of experience. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Wow, it looks incredible. And thank you so much for sharing that and accepting to come here and talk. Okay, up next we have Mr. Tegu. He is one of the most experienced artists, about 30 to 40 years of experience of being a professional artist from Jakarta, studied in Germany, lived in Germany for a long time. He has now underwater sculptures and artworks as well. So, Mr. Tegu, welcome on today's space. Could you please tell us a bit about yourself and then about your favorite artist?
Yes, thank you very much, Tanmay, for the invitation, for the space, giving me the chance to talk. Excuse me for my English, because my mother tongue is Javanese. But I've been living in Germany 16 years. I've studied fine art in Berlin in the Hochschule der Künste, and back in the 70s. Yeah, you can say I'm old now, so I'm becoming. I will be 72 years old now, and I've been working almost 48 years as a visual artist. And this is really nice to listen to you, Alex and Jen. Well, how do you want me to start?
You can tell us about your favorite artist and what you like about them.
Well, my favorite artist is still Joseph Beuys, because He's, he was working a lot with space and with nature, and also I like the choreographer Pina Bausch, and I love the film from Wim Wenders, of course Saha Hadid.
Tegu,
Saha Hadid,
Tegu,
yeah.
can you talk about one particular artist in detail? What you like
All
about that
right.
particular artist? When I asked you on DM, you told me you like Picasso and whom
Of
else did
course,
you mention?
Picasso once one of my inspirators. So
Mhm.
I'm also working almost Picasso. So multifaceted artist. Also, I cannot work on only one topic. So I make a series and working from one series to the other series. Not the same, but similar, like what he did. And but of course, Joseph Beuys is one of my biggest inspirators because because
Tegu,
yeah.
about Picasso, you mentioned he's multifaceted artist, so that is the thing you like about him. What else do you like from him, his life, Picasso's life, or how do you see him as an artist, or his journey growing up and becoming an artist?
So detailed. Oh, I I I like his life, and uh, I like that he's always think today and tomorrow. So he even sometimes forget what he owns, and he is. Uh, he doesn't like to order the thing what belongs to him, and once when his house full is, and then he bought another house. And so went from one point to others, and that what I like on Picasso work is that he is not he is European, yes, but he is also going beyond his nationality. So he is also looking for the African sculptures to take them as his inspiration, and so many things. And also his strength is also to simplify things just to make a big message. For example, this thing from the bicycle he did, and then it's becoming a bull head. You know? This is a big idea, but in simple way to uh, how to express it. Also, one of the sketch of him, the back of woman. This is only 3 lines, and this is not for every artist is easy to make. It's just, if you are not if you are not mastering the live drawing, so you cannot do those simple sketch. But yeah, back to Joseph Beuys. This is also he is also my big inspirator. Uh, for example, what he did at the document in Kassel when he Documenta 6, I think, yeah, 1976. I forget the year, but he planted 7,000 trees in Kassel, and make a big statement about his art. And at that time, I went to Kassel too, and I was one of who once art students who protesting him because how can you gardening and declare as an art, but after years and years in 2014 I did the same thing what he did. So I make underwater artificial reef. So this is actually the inspiration is went back to Joseph Beuys, and I'm very thankful to him.
Joseph Voice, can you spell his last name?
Beuys, Beruys. He's German.
Okay. So which is his favorite artwork for you?
This is the 7,000 trees in Kassel, and people was blaming about this, and now you can see Kassel is so green because of him. At that time, that was no idea of environment, eco issues, and nobody talked about alternative, and there was no Green Party in Germany, but he has started very early, you know.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm seeing images of him online. Yes, Alexander, you have your hand raised. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm also a big fan of Joseph Beuys, which is also a conceptual artist. And one of my favorite works of him is I think it's called "I Like America and America Likes Me," which is a piece where he stayed in a room for several days with a coyote without eating and sleeping and doing anything. And he lived with that coyote for for a few days, and I just love that performance. And he photographed, or it not him, but the room was being photographed by somebody that was going to the room from time to time, I believe. I don't know if I'm correct about that, but somebody would enter the room and photograph the situation of what was happening between his relationship with the coyote. um, I think it's a very, very powerful conceptual piece, and I really love his work. I
Yes,
also like.
I agree. This is very I get gruesome. and I think I saw the replication on and the installation of his happening in Kunsthalle Düsseldorf, but back in the 80s.
Must have been amazing. I also like his work, but I don't remember the name. It's been a while since I read about Joseph Beuys. It has this kind of suit which he put some fat on it. He bathed the soup the suit on fat, right, on oily fat, right, and let it kind of dry by itself.
And
It
with the broken pianos.
I don't remember,
Mm.
but I remembered when I was studying architecture, some architecture students they replicated that that piece in our workshop, in our
Yeah,
atelier space,
yeah.
and they hanged the shoot on the ceiling, and it was dripping fat into the floor, right? So they made their own representation of the Joseph Beuys installation, right? It was interesting.
And what I like of him is he declared that jeder ist ein Künstler. Also everyone is an artist. So now you can see the real thing is with the NFT art. So everybody can do an NFT art. It's not only the physical visual art, but you you see, since after 30, no, almost 40 years, Joseph Beuys said this, and now you becoming reality.
Awesome, wonderful. This is a new artist, and his work really look amazing and out of ordinary as I'm seeing it on Google. I'll share the link. All right, so next up we have Mr. Vasuvian. How are you today? Could you share a bit about yourself and the favorite artist you like?
Why did you pull me up over here, man? I was just staying on the bleachers listening.
He's a musician, so you can talk about musicians as well. No, there's no limit.
No, I mean, for me, hi everyone, this is Vesuvian, also known as MQ Musician in the music community. Not, I mean, I'm not famous and all, but I do what I can, I guess. But I just wanted to stop by first of all and say hi to Tanmay. I have one of his wonderful NFTs. So just wanted to stop by and say hi. But for me, I believe artists is in everyone. Even uh, we all necessarily don't know who created us, but whoever did, however we were created, that's also an amazing art piece. I mean, we ourselves are an amazing art piece. The way we function and all. There are people out there still trying to figure out the whole human being concept. But I like all different sorts of artists out there. I don't necessarily remember all the names, but in terms of uh, artists, the only person I can remember is the author. I'm a big fan of him. His name is Isaac Asimov. Because I'm into past lives and all, and some of the things that he discussed in his Foundation series kind of connects with me. So he's an amazing guy. I really look up to him and what he did, and I've been starting to learn more about the people who talk about philosophy and all. But yeah, I'm sorry, I cannot remember a lot of things. I literally just woke up a few hours ago. I try not to work all day, but I end up working almost 20 hours out of the day, even while I'm eating. So I kind of dozed off last night. I just woke up. So sorry, Tanmay. I couldn't.
No problem. It was great you came and joined us. So thank you for that. And yeah, it's good.
Yeah, sure, man. Anytime. I've been trying to spread some word about your place and retweeted it. So this is amazing that you're still going on 15 episodes strong. So, just keep up the great work.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That was like this may make me keep going on. And yes, we'll keep getting some new exciting episodes and discussions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tanmay. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, up next, we have Mr. Arjun. He is a professor in architecture college. Arjun, you must be knowing Mr. Alexander, so I think you both will be
Yeah,
able to.
always we always whenever I meet architects in the NFT space, always Inception movie comes to mind. Leonardo DiCaprio is an architect, and he's hiring architects, and he's making crazy stuff in dream worlds. So it's always with a mental high five uh, to architects whenever I see them, because I know they are going to become very huge. You see movies like Inception and Matrix, architects are there in those movies. Sorry. So yeah, really bullish
And
on the
we're
future
doing
of
that now,
architecture.
right? With Web3 and Metaverse, we are creating our own world. So yeah,
Yes,
just adding to
true,
yours.
100% true. Yeah. So hello everyone. Hello Alex. Hello Tegu, Tony, Vasuvi, and Angad, and Tony. So yeah, hello. I'm Arjun. I'm an architect, academician, computational designer, and author from New Delhi, India. And my work is an exploration of fluidity and complexity in developing abstract geometry. And I have been doing everyday art for more than 300 days. Crossed 300 days few days ago. Never missed a single day. It's been a great journey, and I realized that so much can be done in 300 days if you just show up every day. Even if you just put out bad stuff, literally bad stuff, you can get going. You can learn a lot, immensely lot. And so yeah, so the discussion is on the lives of famous artists. My famous artist is people. Um, Also, I like. Um, I'm just forgetting the name. Really, not a good. So I'll just talk about people. So I really like his daily consistency. That I give him full credit to bring me away to. Because of him only, I got into NFTs. Because of him only, I've been doing everyday art. And yeah, it's amazing how he's able to do at such amazing works in very short amount of span because he's been doing it every day. And yeah, I also like Daria Antipienko. Um, so famous artists, you're Tanmay, I was asking famous artists like world class, like
Yeah, Beeple
Picasso.
was a good
Yeah,
example. So
yeah.
you can talk about any specific artwork you like about him that you would like to you can elaborate on.
I like his like most of the work he's doing. I really like. So there's no particular piece that I found really memorable because I like because I am a fan of sci-fi architecture, landscapes, sci-fi landscapes, abstract geometry. So what he does is really interesting works. He also somehow fuses modern day political landscapes in his works. So yeah, like a lot of his works. One I really like is Tuzor. He's not very famous, but as Tuzor is quite an amazing guy. Yeah, but I cannot recall their particular pieces. I just like their style, how they. What I like about Stuzor, Stuz, numeric 0 and R, Stuzor, that his work is very large. He works with very very large canvases, mountains, large human faces, large environments, and he uses very less elements, like 2 or 3 elements at the max, and he focuses highly on the texturing and lighting and the camera angles, and his work is really amazing. So very less colors and very cinematic works. That's what I like about his works. So yeah, that's it from me.
Wow, thank you so much for coming and sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, up next we have Mr. Angad. He is an amazing person, philosopher, poet, spoken word artist. He's seen to so many things. Let's just hear from him. Over to you, Angad. Can you hear us? Okay, so the rugging issue persists. We will get back to him. Until then, I will talk about the artist which I like. Of course, this might sound cliche, but Vincent van Gogh. Um, what I like about him is he just keeping on doing his thing, what he likes. He had a looking from outside, he has a traumatic story, or he went through a lot in his mind artwork. Couple of facts about him: he started work when he was 27 years old. He started painting after he was 27 years old. He did 900 artworks in 10 years, so about one artwork in every 36 hours. He wanted to become a missionary, a priest earlier, and his on his life there are many movies and stories based. He wrote a lot of letters through and fro his brother, and his painting, which is very famous, Starry Night. was actually done under an influence of when he was in a mental hospital with some gray wolf glove or some there's some medicinal plant under that influence. So the phenomena which he observed in the sky, the swirls, which looks as if like you drag a stick in the water and then there are swirls. So that happened in the sky. Actually, they scientifically happen in the sky, but we normal eye cannot see that. And that's another one of the mathematical equations people are trying to solve. And this I from this another amazing podcast by Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's also a fan of Starry Nights. So Starry Nights is the only artwork in which the name of the artwork is on the background, not in the foreground. So Starry Night and stars in the name of the work. He he cut. I mean, he cut his own ear. He passed away himself by uh, self-sacrifice. But his work, his strokes, the way he has done it, the way he paints, and I just love that. And I'm sure we can hear about more of his works from other all of you. Okay, so I think we what we'll do is we after Angad speaks, we will just have an open discussion on any of the artists and just add on ideas.
May I have a question to Alex.
Yes, go ahead,
Yeah.
Alex.
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah, I'm very impressed about your thinking and talking at the beginning. So for me, you are not an architect; you are also a thinker, because you always talk from a diverse perspective about one thing about the object. So may I ask you, not as an architect, uh, can you talk about what is for you a space?
It's a difficult question. What is a space, right?
No,
Mm,
especially because I'm jealous because you are living in Japan. I love Japan.
well, I can tell you that the notion of space in Japan and the notion of space in other countries is a little bit different, right? It works differently. Well, traditionally, right? At least in the vernacular sense of the of those spaces. While in for example in Europe, from where I come from, the space is designed through the construction of thick and massive walls, sometimes very thick, right? I remember my great grandmother, no great grandmother, sorry, great grandmother's house, and it had like 50 centimeters walls, right? It's half a meter wall thickness, and almost no windows, right? And it was built in a kind of it was built with brick stones and a construction technique that will adobe or taipa, right? And while in Mediterranean countries, that is or hot countries, that is a kind of construction. In Japan, um, there is no walls, right? The traditional architecture has no walls, and the idea of protection of the human is seen as a little bit different, right? The separation is made through very thin paper and wood structures, and what and also through what is called shoji, which is a sliding doors, right? But when you come out to outside, you have the what is called the engawa, which is the space in between. Is a kind of a veranda, right? That creates a space in between the interior and the exterior, right? So it's a moment in time where you are in between the two spaces, right? So you're not inside the house, but you're also not on the space. And then you have the garden, right? So Japanese designed the space in this kind of transition between interior, in between, and then exterior. So it's the notion of space and what is a space. It depends on the culture where you live, right? That being said, I would say that a space is a action where you can habit, right? It can be delimited by glass, or it can be delimited by walls, or it can even have no delimitation and can be a space, right? An empty space or a void, right? So what is a space is very difficult to explain, because there are many types of space, right? I can say that the patio is a kind of a space, but it's actually not a protected space. Is a, a void in the interior of a house. So it's a patio would be similar to what the Ingawa would be to Japanese, but the Ingawa has a connection with the outside, while the patio has a kind of it's a kind of an exterior space inside the interior of the house, right? So yeah, what is a space is very difficult to categorize, right? It will depend on its architecture, I would say.
Thank you. My question is the reason my question is because you are living in Japan. So actually, because of the openness and also uh, this distance only between this paper wall, rice paper wall, and maybe it's also the reason why the Japanese they always bowing bow, and they even if they meet each other they even make a step back, yeah, half step back and one step back, and uh, maybe they need the space to close themselves, or maybe they are also introvert.
Mm, well, the Japanese way of life, right, has to do mostly with many conditionants from outside, right? Especially in contemporary time, right? So you see that they live recently on very small spaces, right? That has to do with the lack of space in Japan and how the cost of living is in Japan, right? The square meter in Japan, because Japan is a very mountainous. I don't know if this is a correct English word, but it's a country with a lot of mountains, right? And architecture, their buildings are done on flat area most of the time, and that flat area is very limited, right? And especially when you get to denser cities like which is the densest city in the world with 30 million people living there, you get the lack of space, right? So everything in Japan is around that kind of a problem. Even the cars, the Japanese car is different from any other country's car. It's very small. It's square normally. They have their own. We have our own models of cars here, not sold anywhere else, right? Most of the cars don't even are not even how to say equipped to go to highways, right? Because they're so small and they're so fragile, and so they're not even they don't have even any kind of aerodynamic design, right? They're just fit, or made to fit on the city to manage this kind of size problems, right? There is also this kind of image that the Japanese live minimalist kind of life, which is a kind of a lie, right? I've been here in Japan for 9 years. I never met any kind of minimalist kind of lifestyle. Every time I go to somebody's house, it's full of shit everywhere, right? They buy a lot of things. This is a kind of hyper capitalist society, and there's a kind of consumer driven kind of lifestyle. So that kind of situation that Japanese live a kind of minimalist life and everything is white and they only have one cup and one plate. It's one person in maybe 100,000, right? It's a kind of a image marketing that it's made around their lifestyle, which is not true actually. Um, and this happens because you need things to live, right? But there is no space to put them. So actually, Japanese they consume a lot of things in their home normally. So yeah, I don't know what kind of information more you want to know about Japan. I can stay here all night talking about Japan, right? But
Alex, what we'll do is,
sorry, I
my
couldn't
Alexa
hear.
was, sorry, my Alexa was waking up when I mentioned Alex, so I just paused for a moment. I was mentioning, I was saying it is great to hear your thoughts on architecture. So maybe we can have a special episode, you as a featured guest, and we can talk on extent about architecture and how, specifically about you, your journey, your life. We have two kind of episodes in Rocklaz Radio. One is like this, where we talk on interesting topics, have panel discussions, and so on. Second is where we invite guests from diverse fields. So we had an army general last time. Before that, a CEO of Bitcoin. Before we had an art historian in the first episode. So on. So it'll be awesome if you can have we can have you as a guest maybe next week. Would you like to come? Okay, awesome. That's a victory sign. So I guess that's a yes.
Yes,
Okay,
sure.
awesome. So I got a DM from Angad. He is unable to come because of technical issues. I will come in some time. But as we were talking on Japan, he wanted to discuss about a particular artist called Takashi Murakami and how his work has taken pop and art culture and become a staple in luxury fashion world, inspiring an art generation of Japanese artists who have gone on to huge sneaker and fashion collab, giving birth to hype culture and pretty much what fuels the PFP collaboration and culture in the NFT space. His words. So, Alex, Tegu, Vasuben, what are your views on Mr. Takashi?
I
Hello.
think Murakami Sensei well, it definitely takes inspiration from Yayoi Kusama, right? Kusama Sensei. He takes inspiration from that in how the composition of his works are done. At least that's how I see it. Though he adds the kind of his influence is based on the kawaii kind of movement that exists here in Japan. And for people that don't know the word, kawaii means cute, right? And he tries to create this kind of cute characters that have a cute expression, but at the same time has this kind of grotesque kind of way of I don't know. It goes between very cute to very grotesque, right? And it creates a parallelism with the singer and pop idol Kyaru Pamyu Pamyu, which it takes a lot of inspiration from this kind of work, right? She also is a pop artist that has very cute videos, but those cute videos are also has a kind of grotesque kind of expression, right? So I think they're doing very similar work, but in different kinds of media. I don't know. He has a very powerful expression of color, and from what I remember, he has done some work with Doraemon also. So it mixes this idea of anime and character and kawaii characters into his work. From what I remember, also, and I'm saying this from my head. I'm not very familiar with his work, but from what I remember, he also uses a lot the theme of the flower, right, or the sun, the character that looks like a flower or a sun, right? Um, yeah, I've seen some of his work in museums here. I'm actually personally, I'm not a big fan of his works, but I understand the value of it, and I understand the direction he's trying to take. Though personally, it's not something I'm very interested in. Personally, right?
Yeah, I was just seeing what you meant by grotesque and cute at the same time. So yes, we can see the difference clearly on Google. The skulls and very grotesque things, and there are very cute kawaii doodles on the
Yeah,
other hand. So,
was gonna actually after Alexander said about grotesque, I wanted to just Google and say, what is he talking about grotesque? And I found that skull picture with the he's still trying to make it look cute. But I mean, like let's say that he's more into contemporary art and pop culture and everything. So I'm not a big fan of using skulls. I have friends who use skulls and upside down crosses and everything. I don't necessarily have to be, but there's always things that there's gonna be mixed views about different artists. We don't know what he's thinking about. Maybe it's to popularize his artwork, or maybe he is into skulls and stuff. Who knows? But it's interesting, how he creates his art. I still like the mosaic, uh, picturesque arts that he creates with colorful decorations. Interesting. I didn't even know that he worked with Louis Vuitton. So it looks like he has even partnerships with big companies like Louis Vuitton. So yeah.
yeah,
yes.
even Angad was mentioning
Yeah,
about his partnership.
sorry.
Okay, I was just mentioning. Angad was mentioning about his Louis Vuitton partnership. Tegu, over to you, then to Alex.
Well, I have a lot of problem to understand and to enjoy his artwork. Uh, the the biggest thing on Murakami is actually the marketing concept. That's all.
Okay, okay. Yes, Alex. What were you saying?
No, no. I was just saying that he has about the Louis Vuitton. I think he made some characters or some bags, right? I've seen them around here in Japan. Some brown bags, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so yeah, he works with big brands here in Japan also. Yeah, it's a kind of its work bends between the between pop culture, kawaii from Arakujo. I don't know if you guys heard about this area in Tokyo. It's a small town in Tokyo where everything is cute and everything is pink. Um, and if you go there, you'll see that it matches this kind of visual kind of expression, right? Everything there, the girls dress differently when they go there. They sell most of the shops sell pancakes or sell crepes, right? With ice cream, everything is pink. From the shops to the interiors, there are a lot of maid cafes. It's a kind of it has its own culture, right? The clothes shops sell a very different kind of shops, very different kind of clothes, right? And they kind of match this kind of visual, right? So this guy Murakami Sensei he bends between this kind of culture, pop culture, and a kind of a cute anime kind of culture, right? So he's in that, navigating in between the middle of those both. So in he has I think he has two kind of characters that are very popular. One is the sunflower, right, or the flower or the sun, right, and another one is this character that is in terms of composition are is like kind of three circles, right? The head and the two ears, and then the mouth is like very grotesque way. I remember seeing one piece that the mouth is kind of undulating with the teeth coming out, some kind of thing like that, right? Where things he's kind of vomiting color right through his mouth, something like that. So it bends between this cute harakujo kind of style and the grotesque kind of style, which is very similar to what I, I think Kярю Pamyu Pamyu stole a little bit of ideas from Murakami Sensei to produce, especially to produce her videos, right? If you guys check on YouTube, Kярю Pamyu Pamyu videos, music videos, even if you don't like the music, which can be a little bit irritating, right? But if you see the videos, you'll see that there is a kind of connection there between the two artists. So yeah, this is all I have to say about his work. I haven't delved deep into his work or what he thinks, or I haven't read anything deeply about his process or anything. So I'm just taking this out of what I remember or what I see of his work.
Yeah, as you are mentioning his work, what we know about Japanese anime and culture, I think his work has become a culture, and that identity of Japan is coming through his sort of work. The Hello Kitty and that symbol, I think that looks very similar to his art style. Yes, Vasuvian, you had your hand up. What would you like to share?
I think I forgot, but because well, Alexander was speaking, I was multitasking. I'm sorry,
No
but
problem.
I remember part of it at least. Uh, then it's gonna when you ask opinions, Tanmay, everyone is gonna look at it from their own perspectives. Like I was saying, like um, Alexander said that it looks grotesque with the colors coming out of the mouth. For me, it's actually cute. It talks about I'm from a spiritual perspective. It looks like it's full of energy coming out. So I look at that as cute. But for someone else, they say, oh, they look so cute, skulls, colorful skulls all over. For me, it's like a massacre. It kind of I hate to say this, reminds me of Nazi camps full of skulls. So a lot of people like the skulls version. I just don't. But it's gonna vary from one person to the other. But the other thing I wanted to point out, what was the name of that place, Alejandro? If you could DM me, I'd really appreciate that because where it's everything pink.
It's called Harakujo. So it's Harujo.
Harakujo.
It's an area in Tokyo. Kind
Yeah,
of a
there's actually I just recall just
ah,
now. There's a
Harakujo
place. Go ahead.
with you in the end. Sorry, I said oh, but it's you in the end.
Say that again. I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
So I'm gonna say again. It's
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Harajuku. Harajuku.
Oh, Harajuku.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay.
So
I'll check that out. And I just realized, Tanmay, isn't there is it still there in India, in Jaipur, the Pink
What
City?
what is there? Pink City.
Pink City in Jaipur, is it still there? Do they
Yeah,
still have
yeah.
it? Yeah. So I remember a long time ago. I'm talking about, when I say long, I'm talking about like when I was a kid. I mean close to my 40s right now. So this is, I'm talking 25, 30 years ago. We went there. Every single thing was pink. Like starting from the Vespas or Scooties, like the olden version of Vespas, to the restaurants, the buildings, every single thing over there, almost what you could see is pink. There was nothing, no other color. I'm still, I don't know what was the reason. Tanmay might put it out. Just wanted to put that out. But like I was saying, perspective from everyone is going to be different, and there's no judgment about it. You know, everyone is going through their own journey in life, and based on of our own perspectives about life and our own experiences, we judge or come up with descriptions of something that might appeal or might not appeal to us. So, like for example, uh, uh, about the pink city in Japan, like Alexandra was saying, Harajuku. I hope I say this right this time, Alexandra.
So I just did a quick Google search on the pink aspect. This was because the pink was said to denote color of hospitality, and it was not like that since ever. In 1876, they painted that to welcome the Prince of Wales during his tour to India,
Oh wow,
and then it
it
just
just kept.
and then that became a law. Then that became a law that everything should be.
No, what I was saying is, uh, it's fascinating what people think of certain places based on a particular aspect. Like the whole cuteness thing about Japan. People think of everything is cute. Everyone is minimalist, like Alexander was saying, based on just whatever we see or visualize, and then put it into context about the whole place. So it's a good marketing tactic as well. On a negative turn, for example, I don't know how many of you watched. I'm native from Bangladesh. I've been in the U.S. for over 20 years. So I'm a big fan of Thor. And what was the name of the guy who played Thor? Again, it's my morning brain. I'm sorry, Tanmay. I don't know if you know, from Marvel's Avengers.
Everyone knows Thor. You would recognize him better with Thor than his real name.
Okay.
Tell us.
Okay. So Hemsworth, right? So so
right,
they just go ahead.
isn't Chris something?
Chris Hemsworth, right? Chris Hemsworth. So I'm a big fan of that guy. He's a wonderful humanitarian. I don't know how he got involved in this movie called Extinction, that talked about crimes in Bangladesh, which is everywhere, Thailand and everything. So everyone got furious about terrorists and all this thing, which it rarely happens. So, but the interesting thing was, little it been known, no one really realized that actually kind of worked as a marketing tactic. So more tourists are now going to Bangladesh. They're trying to find that, oh, this is a fascinating place. It's like it's euphoric, if I'm not using for lack of better words, like a wonderful place like Shangri-La. So same thing about Japan, same thing about all the other places. Whenever people think about, look at something, some part of it, they grasp it, and that's as it's shown to people, they kind of relate to it based on whatever is seen, and they try to experience it in that manner. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we are talking about Jaipur, Pink City, there is a blue city as well in Rajasthan. It's called Jodhpur. Everything is blue there. And the reason for that is copper sulfate is effective in repelling insects. So the copper sulfate turns blue in certain conditions, giving houses famous uniform blue color. So if you're visiting, do visit both the pink and blue.
Yeah, like I said,
Okay.
it's been almost like 30 years, man. So I'm sure a lot of change. I even saw Jane Guru. You know what I'm talking about? And in traditional attire. They were a Jain person, was just walking on his own with a stick on his hand. So it was very interesting. My parents keep on telling us to stare the other way because I'm talking about 30 years back. So it's interesting, how things change. I'm sure a lot of things have changed, and even Pink City right now.
Absolutely, yes. With a lot of modernization, people changing their taste and things, I'm sure many things have changed. We'll definitely have a space discussing cities and their architecture, and we can have again Alex as a co-host and discuss different why behind the cities and how they look like. So coming back to today's topic is, so which artist would we like to discuss next? In India, there are places, like there are villages, like there's a village in Bihar which does Madhubani artwork, and that's famous worldwide. And there is a place in Tanjore in the south which has very intricate gold work, and it's very famous. So this whole villages are famous. There's no one artist who has created the style, but it's just everyone, it's just community doing that thing in one art style. So on one end we have one artist developing a style, and then there's the whole village doing in particular style. So what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the whole of community growing particular style, and where have you seen that in around the world?
Are you asking us about in terms of art, like where other places people are doing art together, or?
Yeah. So we talk about artistic identity and artists developing a particular style of art through which we recognize him, suppose the Cubism of Picasso and other so on and so forth. But there are some villages who have particular
Right.
kind of style.
So
So
I remember this thing, and I'm sorry, Tanma, I have to drop off after this, but I just wanted to put this out. If you check my art out uh, on OpenSea called The Big Reveal, and look at the art, it's patterned like the way I do. It's very intricate and feels like I'm actually writing, which I do actually. I don't know where it comes from. It's from the subconscious mind or the universal consciousness. I keep writing sometimes, and it looks different types of languages. But at any rate, that's not the point I was pointing to. My artistic, I learned a few months back. I was at someone's place at a discussion. This is actually a couple of years back, and he mentioned something about this tribe. I think it's an Inca tribe or a Peruvian tribe. They sing and they do art on kilts, and the way they do it is amazing. Uh, Somehow they're spiritually connected. They're singing a song, and based on the singing and the rhythm, they're doing the art, and somehow they get in sync and finish up at the same point in the center or something in the kilt. But the pattern, when you look at it, it looks like one piece, as if it's a continuous piece, but like multiple people are working on the kilt, sewing the art into one piece, and through singing and rhythmic vibe, they're actually completing the art, and they work together like on one central piece. So that's very interesting to me. That they're able to do that. Aside from what you just said, Tanmay.
wonderful. Thank you for coming in, and we will definitely check out your work. And thanks for that Peruvian art of kilts. I will attach links to that. All right. So what do you think, Alex Tegu? What are your thoughts on that? And people in audience, feel free to come up and share your experience or your favorite artist as well. Feel free.
Have you ever invited Hideki, the Japanese sculptor, up with you? I forget his name, his family name. Hideki. Let me check.
So we got to know about new artists like Picasso, Da Vinci, and all these people are very well known and famous. So Alexander Tegu, what according to you makes these artists so famous? Picasso whenever talks, everybody knows Picasso and they can relate him as the best artist. So what do you think that uh, what was it that he or to what does he owe those credits to? Is it just marketing or is it what must have gone into that? And you have been in Portugal and Spain, and so you must have a first-hand experience of all this. Please share with us.
Well, talking about my own experience and compared to Picasso, which is similar, this is the consistent, hardworking, and having fun on creating. This is actually the thing that you need for success. And another thing is success doesn't mean that you can sell your work. Success is that you are happy with your work. And, and why I'm happy with my work, because my work is inspiring to other people, to other artists. This is very important. So uh, after 48 years working as an artist, I can really make a good living actually only the last 15 years. Before, I had to do cleaning dishes in restaurants, or even taxi driving in Berlin, waiter, and everything. So actually, what makes me being consistent is because I I want to live for art, not making art for a living. This is I mean both are legitimate. So you can do also making art for a living, please. But I don't want to do this. So I just want to live for art. If my kitchen doesn't uh, the flame on my kitchen doesn't give me food, so I have to go somewhere else, take a job uh, to make living.
Absolutely. I can recall the second episode that Tegu had come and shared with us. Do check out the second episode of Rocklaz Radio, where Tegu and other artists had discussed pricing strategies of artwork, and Tegu was suggesting how not to give in to collectors and how you can stick with your own price and what matters more, price or the artwork. Or he was sharing his personal experience through Germany and all these things he just mentioned. So it's always nice to have you, Tegu. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, we have Antonia on stage now. Before Antonia, Alexander, what would you like to add about Picasso?
Well, I don't know. Many things have been said about Picasso, but I would say that more than his artwork, he was a good socialite. He was in the middle of a lot of interesting people in the right time at the right moments, right? And that is also part of what makes a good artist, right? You need to be involved with the right people, so you can make the right connections, and you can bring people to see your work, right? I'm not saying that he was building a community, but he was he was talking, and most of his friends were very interesting people, right? That he could discuss his work, right? And that also influences how he creates his work, right? So being connected with interesting people is one of, I would say, one of the keys to success in the world. Um, we need. I think there's no time to deal with everybody around us, right? But artists should connect and should make friendship with other artists that have similar interests. So when they discuss and they talk, they can influence each other, and um, they can share ideas, and their work can be better in the future, right? So if we look at how Picasso lived his life, he got famous pretty early, right? For an artist, it was also thanks because it was more modern times, right? Information and journal spread more quickly. Journalism, right? And so that being said, he got famous quite early on his career, early for an artist, right? Normally, artists get famous after they die. He got famous before he died, right? Um, so so yeah, but I think that came also from being connected with the right people. A little bit different from for example Dali, that he was doing this kind of performance and he was appearing on TV shows and all that kind of thing, right? It was a different kind of approach. I would say less interesting approach than the approach that Picasso and many of his contemporaries had, that was organizing the parties for artists and events with artists and all that kind of thing, where they build a community of interesting and talented people, and they stick together to create art, right, and to promote each other. So I think that is a part of the art world and part of being an artist, right? Um, and I think it's something that is necessary, and I think it helped Picasso become famous. I don't think that the work by itself it's enough, especially nowadays. It starts to be difficult to be enough just to become famous through your work, right? Even if the work has a lot of quality, it needs to be approachable in a visual way, right? And by this means it needs to reach people outside of your circle, right? And because today information is shared too quickly, it's a kind of I would say, I don't want to say, but I would say that marketing is a kind of a big part of being an artist, right? One of the works that artists have to work on, right? In the marketing section, it's something that most artists are not equipped to do, because we don't learn that on universities or when we are studying or during our practice. And I think that is also because that part of the work is the less interesting part of the work, right? Um, when we do art, or we produce art, or we think about art, we want to think about the interesting things, right? Especially when we are studying, right? The teacher is not there to help you sell the work; is there to help you think about your work, right? And that should be and I appreciate that. Some people see it as a bad thing, um, especially people. Most of the people in the NFT space, which is more marketing and more money oriented, right? But I think that the university or the school or the place of knowledge should be separated from the place of marketing and the place of money, right? Because when the two collide, they change each other, right? And I think when we are learning or studying, it should be on a kind of naive and kind of pure kind of state, in which you can exalt your learning or exalt your technique or exalt your process. While if you start putting marketing into it, you start thinking about others see your work and how you can make your work on the way to appeal to people, when art should not be that kind of thing. Do I understand that all of us need to eat, right? And we need to sell, like Tegu was saying, right? He's been doing some work because he could not live only of art, but I think art should have its purity in some way, right? Should have its purity kept in some way. It should when we produce art, it should kind of be on a pure state of mind, right? That when we are thinking about marketing or how to sell that work or how to become famous, it does not allow us to purely see the art piece or the creation of the art piece.
Do you know
Wow, that
Alex? Do
was
you know
wonderfully.
Alex? Oh, sorry. Alex, do you know what I'm missing going back to Jakarta? The, this European tradition of debate in the cafe, debate in the bar. So you can meet a lot of people from different discipline. Picasso
Yes.
the chance to meet Sartre, to especially those little cafe behind Panthéon in Paris or in Montparnasse and Quartier Latin, where you really can intellectual fighting every day. Then so you can keep your creativity power.
That's what I was trying to say, right? Picasso was very good at socializing, right? And he was very good at being in the right place in the right time, right? And yeah, I mean, in my country we also have some cafes where all the artists come, right? And you sit with one artist or with one friend, start talking, and then you hear the conversation on the next table. Then you can participate, right? It's something very even in even when you are in that space, it's something very artistic, right? In the way that you are connecting and communicating with other people, right? It's something that in social media it's impossible to exist. It's very difficult, right? For example, in this space we are all here, but it's one space, right? We cannot interact with people from that is in another space. But imagine that this space is in a cafe. This is one table, and another space is another table, and we are hearing all these conversations, and then we interact with each other, right? And that there is a richness to that kind of situation, right? And that is when the connections and where the creativity also is transmitted, right? It's not an enclosed space; it's an open space for interaction. And I think the good artists at that time, especially the time of Picasso, or especially Picasso, they were good at understanding that. They understood how that worked, and they made use of it.
Alex, that was amazing point. I think Twitter is taking a note, and let's see how we can do on the spaces in that model where we can jump around and get ideas. So you mentioned about Picasso's style about networking. Salvador Dali and Andy Warhol also were pretty popular in the social scene. And how would you compare their style of reaching out to people or bringing their art forward or marketing in a simple term? How would you compare their styles?
Well, it's very different, right? Andy Warhol, he had the Silver Factory, right? And the Silver Factory was this. Well, it's different, but in the same kind of way. They understand that communication and social connection is made inside a space, right? So Andy Warhol creates this amazing, crazy factory where you could go freely there, and you enter, and in one corner there is a band playing rock music, and in the middle there is Andy doing his work, and you look to the other side and there is a couch where they're recording a pornographic movie and people are having sex, and then you go to the toilet and you see people having drugs, and then you get out and you see people designing fashion pieces and getting undressed and experimenting with different kinds of clothes. And then as you get out of the place, you see somebody entering with a horse for another kind of pornographic movie. You see this kind of things. This was happening all at the same time inside the space, right? And this is what creates the social connections and what creates the creativity of that moment, right, and that movement. So it's something that is very difficult to produce when you are in the kind of a digital space, right, or in kind of this kind of Twitter spaces, or it's starting to be more difficult to create in this kind of environment that we are all in, right? I think human contact and the real space where everything collides and everything comes together is very important for the career of the artist, to get inspiration, to meet the right people, to show the work, to get opinions on the work, to criticize other people's work, to get criticized himself, all that kind of thing. There needs to be a space for that. In some countries, it's a cafe. In the case of Andy Warhol, was the Silver Factory. In the case of other guys, is a kind of a workshop. And there are many artists that understand that. For example, a more contemporary artist like Olafur Eliasson is a studio. He's an artist, but his studio is made of painters, architects, designers, and landscape designers. He's done some installations in in a gallery designed by Peter Zumthor, where he puts landscape inside a gallery, right? So he needs landscape designers. All this kind of different kind of people is together working on inside the same workshop, right? So that kind of concept of Andy is transported to contemporary time in the Olafur Eliasson's workshop, right? So these people understand exactly what is needed to create the creativity and to create the connections needed to progress their work and to make their work interesting. And I think that is something that as we progress with technology, we are losing, especially when we get to be when we start to procrastinate, right? Because we can work from our homes now. We can do everything from our homes. So I don't need to go to meet anybody. I can work here and send the work to somebody else, and they on the other corner of the world, and they progress, and then they send me back, right? This is completely different than going to one space and being with a paper on the table and being discussing ideas and being talking and I don't know, sharing things. It's completely different, and I think it's something that we are losing really with the progression of technology, right? Or at least technology at this moment does not allow us to do that properly, I would say. So yeah, I think that is how they all those artists have to in common, right? Is this understanding of how to make connections.
Wonderful. So yes, thank you for that, Tegu, Jenny, Antonia. What would you like to add to that? We are approaching. We have 15, 16 minutes more. So let us
Can,
sort of.
can I add something to Alex?
Yes, please, Tegu.
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually a physical artist since 2020. Uh, yeah, almost 3 years. I didn't do anything on canvas, and only on my iPad and on my Procreate and so and you know I was 2 weeks ago I was so happy, Alex, because I came back to my canvas, a big canvas. I've sent the video to Tanmay also, and and I can scream to myself, "Why, wow! I'm still physical."
Yes, I
Yeah,
will.
it's a different space and it's a different feeling, If you make work on, say, canvas or paper, you can actually feel the paint, you can feel the texture of the paper, you can watch it spread on and all the mixing. What I enjoy the most is
And
mixing the
make
color.
make your hands dirty.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't use an apron when I'm painting, so my all my clothes are full of paint, and I just love that. And the more what I enjoy the most is mixing the colors. So when you work digitally, like, oh my God, it takes away a whole dimension of working. So
Yeah, I mean, for example, Jackson Pollock, he says he just plays around work and he says the performance is the me playing with the work and art is the outcome of it. So just I wanted to ask another question. Talking about artists who are still alive, like famous artists of the day, whom would you think is that, and how do you think they have got made use of the current technology available, and how did they reach there? Is it important to be in New York or be in centers where people go and buy things, or is it possible to do from anywhere around the world?
So
How
I
about
was
that?
talking to a collector in New York this morning, and I was just telling him how fabulous it is that sitting here I can build a market anywhere thanks to the NFT technology. Because it was the case like a decade ago that you had to be, at least for Asians, you had to be, um, or you had to have studied in US mostly, and then only the art circuit would take you seriously. But now, we just sitting anywhere in the world. Technology gives us access to so much more. So that's the fabulous thing about
So,
it.
what artists currently alive who are like pretty celebrated or famous in the current day?
Oh, Tanmay, there are a lot of them. On the contemporary art scene, as contemporary arts circuits limited ways, they will only prop up certain people. So those people are. And it's not about fame anymore, it's just about publicity. So there's a difference with that.
About
And
what?
publicity. So
Publicity.
if
Could you
they're well
name a couple of
publicized,
them?
yeah, so if they're well publicized, then I mean, that usually works for them, and that's a whole other game. But I mean, I do have my favorites, and in the sense that there are some people you like as people, and there are some people who you like as artists. And that those two are different things, because not all great artists are nice people. Picasso, for example, treated his women very, very badly. So as a stand-up comedian likes to say, Picasso was an asshole. I mean, just because he was a great artist doesn't mean he was a good person. So those things are also there, and eventually, I think one has to separate the artist from the art, because the art could be great, but the artist is a whole, perhaps much more complex than the art. So,
Yeah,
that
more
that
interesting. Every
that
artist has some of the other story. So, whom do you like as an artist?
So I love Anish Kapoor's work. Anish Kapoor, the sculptor. I think it is fabulous. I really enjoy his work. Um,
Anish
and
Kapoor.
yeah, yeah. He's a UK-based sculptor.
Yes, from India actually, right?
Yeah, he was born, grew up in India, Mumbai. Yes.
I like
I
his work.
I love his work. I've seen some of his work when I was in UK on the modern. I've seen his work is fantastic, and he's very architectural actually.
Yeah, exactly. And what I like it is again he's used his Indian roots, but for a long time he did not tell them because he wants to identify as British and not Indian. So he did not tell them that his roots were in India. Although he used the concepts from India in his work, like the use of pigment color in his earlier sculptures, and the concepts from Indian philosophy. He has used them quite a lot in his work, but because to be accepted in England as British, he did not want to own up to his roots. He only said so when he thought he had a India. So they did one major exhibition of his work in Mumbai, which flopped completely because the buyers here do not understand his work. And so then he went back, and I'm not sure if he still has an Indian market, but yeah, that's how the situation is.
I think one of his biggest works recently was a tower he designed with an engineer called Cecil Baumann, which was Cecil Baumann was one of the top, if not the top, engineer at the engineering company called Arup, which is the engineering company that normally designs the structures for all the skyscrapers or the most high-profile skyscrapers in the world. And
What
I
was
think
there was one called Arcela Mittal also, no? Which Lakshmi Mittal is one big Indian industrialist who's based in Singapore,
no,
and he had not
this guy
that one.
this guy is called Cecil Baumann. He also
Okay.
he worked for Arup, and together with Anish Kapoor, they designed a tower that has a structure, round red structure, right? I think it was Anish Kapoor's latest work. Um, though I don't follow his work closely, so I don't know. Maybe he has another kind of thing, but I found it interesting a few years ago that I saw it.
One
Yeah,
of
he
his
has
works
major
called
commission.
his works Cloud Gate is sort of recognizable with it's quite famous. It's a mirror, sort of huge architectural piece in the shape of a bean. So
Yeah, it's called in Chicago. It is installed in Chicago. It's really huge. Yeah, that's an old one.
Yeah,
That was a
but
yeah.
his most famous work is these red pieces, where he does installations inside the spaces, and he uses a
Yeah,
kind of red plaster to
yeah.
change.
Also the wax at Tate Modern, he's done that thing, with wax, red wax.
He did a
Uh,
very big tube, right, on the Tate Modern at the entrance on the main gallery. When you enter, there is a slope, and then you installed a very big red tunnel or tube there that had two openings from one side to another. Big installation.
the red thing is like what do you say? Wind instrument, music instrument. It looks like, and the other thing you mentioned, red. It looks more like organs, or it's so abstract. With red, it looks like some internal organs, blood drippings out of.
Yeah, Anish Kapoor also participated in some architectural work. I think he has a book coming out. If I'm not mistaken, maybe this year or next year or something like that, with all his architecture projects. Though I'm not, I'm a big fan of his, but I haven't seen any recent work of him, so I'm not sure.
yeah, even I'm a big fan, but I have sitting in India, it's hard to see the original work. But whenever I get a chance, I do catch up on his. And earlier he used to work a lot with the concept of the void. So he had all these structures with holes in them, and then he turned it right around and made it about, then it all became external, made about the tube. So there are a lot of works with tubes and tunnels and things like that. And there are a lot of these very flat discs which he makes out of polished steel with mirror surfaces. So he's done a whole lot of that also.
Yeah, that's right. He used his team was the void.
And there are some very nice bright yellow ones, which are also I like quite a lot.
I like his Master of Darkness. This just black on the floor. This is very simple, but so deep.
Yeah, and he had wasn't he the one who patented that black that that absorbed 99% of light? Wasn't he? Didn't he do that?
Yes,
What?
yes. It's very simple, but very strong message.
Yeah, it's very sublime. His work is, I would say, no, in many ways.
99% black, I remember that. And as I'm seeing the photo on YouTube, it is it's huge. With lady standing next to it. And what was the meaning, Tegu? What is the deep meaning that you find with it?
Sorry?
You mentioned that it has underlying meaning is very deep about that black work. So what is the meaning behind it?
Well, this is the whole, and I mean the vagina, the female. This is what he is longing for is symbolized on all his artworks actually. So
So he's taken Tanmay the Indian concept of yoni basically.
Yeah.
So fertility and
Yeah.
And female energy, and a lot of them, in fact, somebody had objected to it, one of the sculptures being obscene. There was a big
even when he did the tunnel, it's not the masculine tunnel, because
a lot
at the
of
end the end of the tunnel is actually the hole, the vagina.
So
he wants
a lot of his work is sculptural. The more recent one is a lot like that, and some people have objected to it, and there was a big protest and whatnot about one of the sculptures in England only somewhere.
Wonderful. So we are coming to an end of this episode. We have Antonia with us. Are you with? We will hear from her, and then we'll say some concluding words and to meet again next time soon. Antonia, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you guys. I've been enjoying it very much. So your conversations I've been listening into. Thank you for having me.
Yes, Antonia, could you say a line or two about you and just describe a favorite artist of yours?
Well, first of all, I want to comment on what Tegu said. He said that he's an artist. He's an artist to live, and he's not living to be an artist. I think that's the way he said it, right? And I love him for this, that he said that, because a lot of my not friends, but people around me didn't understand how I can be an artist and not making money and doing always some odd jobs instead of getting some real jobs, and trying to explain to them that I live to be an artist, that a lot of people, they don't understand. So I'm glad that Tegu said that. About artists, famous artists, I liked Zaha Hadid. She's an architect, but I also think she's
I love her. I love her.
Yeah, me too. When I read about her, I think like 15 years ago, I love her work. I've driven by some of her works because I used to live in Germany, and going to Italy, I always drive by that ski jump that she made in Innsbruck. And I went to visit in Naples. I wanted to see the train station, but she never ended up completing it because, she died not too long ago. And I guess works never gotten finished, but I love her work. And for another artist that I is my favorite artist. She's still alive. She's fairly young. She's 50 in her 50s. I got to know her personally. I actually got to work with her. She's Spanish. Her name is Rosana Castrillo Diaz, and she works in San Francisco. And her work she's a contemporary artist, and I guess you could say she's a minimalist. And her work is it's kind of, it has a subdued elegance to it, and she plays with light a lot. She works with a mineral that's called mica. I worked with her on a project that she did for the Contemporary Art Museum in Berkeley. She created a wall piece out of Scotch tape. So we just cut these Scotch tape strips and turn them into little loops, and then they just stuck one to each other. They all stuck to each other, and she created these gigantic loops, super depth. And I love her work because it's kind of like it's there, but it's not there. She uses a lot of white, mostly white, and she's an excellent drawer. She does pencil drawings, very detailed, of everyday objects. So I'm a big fan of her. I love her work, and she's still alive. She's around, and there's so many great artists that.
Antonia, what is the name of that work which you mentioned about Scotch tape?
I think it was called shadow drawings. I think it was called. It's the Contemporary Museum of Berkeley bought it. It's a Scotch tape piece. Her pieces are so delicate, and I also worked with her on a mural that I actually ended up painting on in a public space at a university, and she used mica. She's she's doing amazing work. She works very small, detailed works. And getting to know me, knowing that I did big paintings and big installations, she asked me to transfer this small work on this big wall. So she usually works on small, tiny little pieces, and works with other artists together to make these huge pieces. It's called shadow. I think it's shadow drawings. It's called. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. I'm going to take the links from you on the back channel. All right.
Thank you.
So thank you, everybody, for coming in. Let us just hear a concluding statement from everyone, and then we can disperse just to meet once again soon.
Tanmay, I want to ask you: do you do art full time now, or do you have a day job?
I am doing full time now.
Oh, okay, cool. In Ahmedabad, right?
Ahmednagar.
Where is Ahmednagar?
It's in Maharashtra only. You know Shirdi?
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah.
Shirdi comes in Ahmednagar district.
Right. I remember. Yeah, okay.
But
I'm
I've
a
got
Sai Baba devotee, Sai Baba person. So, yes, I remember the name.
Okay, wonderful. I have got relatives in Ahmedabad though. So yeah.
Acha. No, last
Yes,
time
I
you
am
mentioned
doing.
Ahmedabad, so you speak your Gujarati is also like Parsi, so I thought maybe you are a bit Gujarati.
So I am doing NFTs and art like full time now. It used to be hobby. Like since a kid I've been doing art, but I've been doing it seriously and living for the art, as Tegu and Antonia mentioned, since about 4 to 6 months. And yeah, looking forward to keep creating.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Alex, Tegu, what would you like to say?
I don't know. um, I'm going to sleep. It's 2:30 a.m. here. Maybe.
Okay. How
um,
do just
uh,
tell us good night in Japanese?
sorry. What?
You were saying something. Finish that thought and then tell us how to say good night in Japanese.
Oyasumi.
Okay. Rashmi.
Okay. It was nice being here. Thank you for the invitation. Maybe we can plan an architecture space someday in another time. Maybe a little bit more early, so I'm not so sleepy. But I'm glad to have been here and talk with you guys about art and all those artists that you guys like. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming in. It was great to have you. Tegu,
Yes, thank you very much, Tanmay, for the space. And Anthony, I just saw you because of Sahit Haddad.
Thank you. I followed you too. And because
Maybe Alex would talk about her
yes,
for the next space.
yes.
Yeah, and Tanmay, just keep working hard and enjoy life. Thank you very much,
absolutely.
and
Thank you.
good night.
Good night. Tell us good night in what is the language you speak in Jakarta?
Selamat.
And what is the name of the language?
In Indonesian.
Yeah, Indonesian.
Yeah,
Okay. Selamat tidur.
yeah. Oh, you pronounce very good.
Gute Nacht, gute Nacht.
Gute
Good
Nacht.
night.
Oh, du sprichst auch
Gute Nacht.
Deutsch?
Ja, ich bin Deutsche.
Oh, okay. Ich habe 16 Jahre in Deutschland gelebt.
Ja, ich weiß. Ich habe es gehört.
Yeah.
Buonanotte a tutti,
Notte.
everyone.
Thanks for tuning in. Connect with me on Twitter and Instagram to get updates on the new shows and to participate on live recordings. All links are mentioned in the show notes. We will be back next week with another fantastic episode.